Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a relax and listen prenatal yoga flow. So no, I am not pregnant, but this was a requested class from one of my most wonderful students, Jaime, and she is pregnant. So she asked if I would film some classes for her during her pregnancy journey. So this is where we're at. So if you are a soon-to-be mama, this is a great practice for you. And even if you're not, then also great practice. We are just going to slow it down today. 20 minutes of really relaxing the body, listening to the body. So depending on what trimester you're in, you know, the size of your belly, all that stuff, you may want to integrate some props. I'm not going to integrate anything specifically today because Jaime is, I believe, at the very beginning of her second trimester. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't, or if something's calling to you, then obviously definitely integrate it. So a very gentle practice today. And with that being said, everyone has a very different pregnancy journey. Some people feel like they want to be very active. Some people want to be very calm. And depending on how your body is reacting to, it might force you in one direction or the other. So again, relax and listen is the practice today. So it's really taking time to drop into your body, to listen to your body, to listen to baby, to come into your whole being and now the being that you are creating. And then today, that might be all it is. Maybe the next day it's something different, but today it's going to be nice and soft. So we will start in child's pose, a wide knee child's pose. I'll meet you there. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in child's pose. So a wide knee child's pose feels really good. Open those knees as wide as you'd like. Let that belly hang in between. The arms can be out in front of you or even hands underneath your forehead if you'd like to prop up your head a little bit. Let the tailbone kind of drop heavy towards the heels. And if you'd like, rock your head side to side, massage third eye center. And maybe even sway those hips right to left a bit, like snaking the hips out. So gentle. We'll come back to stillness and start to connect with your breath. Turn the focus inward so we come into our inner landscape. Not only breathing life force within us, but vibrating that life force to baby. And especially if you are in a very go, go, go environment, these slower practices are crucial to soften the physical body, to open the physical body, but to really release some stress. And that's why it's a short 20 minutes, so that if you do have the tendency to go, 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 this is a great amount of time to fit into your day. So that it doesn't get pushed down to the bottom of the to-do list. Just a couple more cycles of breath here. Slowly float the forehead off the hands if they're there, off the mat. Bring your palms down to the ground. We're coming into tabletop. Walk your knees underneath your hips. And if you need your knees actually a little wider, that's okay too, depending on what you're feeling in your pelvic floor. A few rounds of cow and cat. Hang heavy through the belly. Peel the chest up. Gaze goes high. We're moving nice and slow today. Round out your spine, tuck your chin, look for your belly button. Really round through your shoulder blades. And then take this a few more times on your own. So we come into a cow on an inhale, feeling each vertebrae as you move, and a cat rounded position as you exhale. No need to rush through. Listen to the body. Listen to where it's telling you to move, how to move. And bring it back to neutral. Gaze goes down. Walk your right hand closer to your left hand and walk your hands a bit forward, maybe like one hand print. Step your right foot to the outside of the right hand so you're in a nice wide stance. Press the hip bones towards the front of the mat. This is a wonderful hip flexor stretch. And then send the hips back. So we're going to go in and out a few times. So booty pulls back and then press those hip bones forward. Again, booty goes back and hips forward. We'll take it 2 more times. Listen to the body. If it's telling you to pause somewhere, then pause. If it's telling you to go back in child's pose, go back in child's pose. But listen to what you're feeling. Hold now in this wide lizard for just a bit longer. And if you start to feel a little bit of a kind of pinch in the right hip, you may want to even turn the toes out, let the knee follow, and sink the hips a little deeper. If that immediately feels worse, then come out of it. But for a lot of us, that should actually feel more open and create more space so that we can drop the hips a bit deeper. We'll slowly return the toes forward and then slide the right knee back to your tabletop. Walk your hands forward and make sure they're in the same line as your shoulders and just press your hips towards the ground. Still elevated, strong through the arms. Now pull your hips back, walk your left hand towards your right, step your left foot to the outside of the left hand. We're coming into this wide lizard and we'll take a moment to shift the weight back. So hips pull back and hips press forward. We'll take this about 4 or 5 times. This is a great place to, if you start to feel any discomfort in your back knee, you can also place a blanket on under that knee. And if the ground feels very far away, you can place blocks underneath your hands. So there's lots of ways to modify these poses. And what's important is that we listen to the body, right? So I can't emphasize that enough because you might not hear or see a modification that you need, but your body will tell you like, oh, I feel too low. So add a block or add a blanket or adjust it in any way that makes sense for you. As long as you're not feeling any pain or you're constricting anywhere, then you should, for the most part, be all good. Let's stay folded forward now. Lift those left toes, turn them out, let the left knee follow. So we're going into external rotation of this left leg, and you'll notice how you might get a bit deeper. And if you'd like, you can always bring the forearms down too. So depends on where your belly is, right? If it's touching the ground, if it's not, if you feel strong in the hands down, if you feel the stretch enough. If it feels too intense, definitely pull back, all right? So just a few more breaths here in this wide, open lizard pose. Let's slowly release out of the pose, so turn the toes forward, slide the left knee back. Come onto hands and knees again, but a wide variation. So your hands are in front of your shoulders so that you have room to press your hips forward and just kind of smelt them, sink them towards the ground a bit. Pull the hips back now. Tuck your toes under, downward facing dog, lift the knees up. If this does not feel good, stay in your tabletop, and that's a great place to be. Down dog, though, is a very nice stretch for the back of the legs And you might even have to take a wider stance depending on belly. So open the feet maybe. Let the belly nestle in between those inner thighs. Connect to your breath. Connect to sensation. And slowly walk your feet towards your hands at the top of the mat. Open your feet as wide as your mat, toes out, heels in. Our favorite malasana, such a great one for the body. You may want to have your arms on top of your quads. You may want to have your elbows on the inside. What I would like to emphasize, regardless of where you put your arms, is that you're driving your weight into your pinky toes. So drop the pinky toes down and notice how it changes the engagement through your outer hips, through your inner thighs. Breathe here fully and deeply. Release the hands to the ground now. Lift the hips up, turn the toes forward. Bring your hands to your hip bones. Rise up to stand, all the way up to stand. Take the arms up towards the ceiling as you do. Deep breath in. Exhale, hands meet at heart center. Step your right foot back, left foot forward. We're coming into a warrior two stance. So toes turn out on the back leg, toes turn to the front on the front leg. Then straighten out your front leg. So the warrior two stance is just to set us up. We're coming into triangle pose. Strong through the front leg, hands to your hip bones. Bump the back hip, right hip back. Lean the chest forward. You may want to just pause here. You may want to add the bottom arm, stretch the fingertips down. You may want to add the top arm, stretch the fingertips up. All in all, lengthen through side body. Hug everything in towards bones. So muscles to bones, energy into center body. Feel that support of baby that you are creating. Breathe in fully and breathe out fully. Let's bring it back up to center. Instead of bending your knee, keep your leg straight and just pivot your toes. Now turn your right toes back. So second side, hands to our hip bone. Front leg is straight, which is now our right leg. Bump the hips back. Feel that hip crease. Pull up through the inner thighs. Maybe right hand drops down as you lengthen through right side body. Maybe left arm goes up. Or keep hands on hip, wherever you'd like them. You can always bring a block down too under this bottom hand. But we aren't here for too long. If you start to feel a lot of pressure through the hips, come out. But kind of differentiate between a heat pressure because we're working, or like, whoa, this is too much, back off pressure. Yeah, that's where that listening comes in, huge component to our bodies, to knowing where to go and how far to go. Let's slowly bring it back up. Pivot the right toes. So now we're in a very wide stance. We're coming into wide-legged forward folds. Bring your hands to your hip bones. Fold at the hip crease. Keep the weight forward into the balls of the feet. Hands come down to the mat, or you can always bring them down to blocks. Let the head go heavy. If forearms touch down, that's fine too. Shake out the head, no. Nod the head, yes. Relax through your neck and your shoulders. Let's bring the hands down towards the mat. Come up high onto the fingertips. Now we're going to take a little variation. It's a variation of Goddess and Malasana together. So click your heels and toes out. Keep your legs as wide as they are. Start to bend your knees and drop your hips towards the ground. Hands on the mat for support. We'll do this 3 times total. So straighten out your legs and bend the knees, drop the hips down. Once more, straighten out legs. Bend knees, drop the hips down. Let's straighten out the legs. Walk the hands to the top of the mat. Step your back foot forward. And however it's easiest for you, come to seated. So you can bend the knees, open the knees wide, sit the booty down. You can take one leg back, whatever works best for you. And as you come into the seated position, we're coming into butterfly. So feet together, knees wide. Open your feet as wide away from your inner thighs as you'd like. If you want to keep them very close, that's fine too. Hands on the shins or the ankles, lift the heart, deep breath in. Start to fold forward, deep breath out. Gaze down, steady through the breath. Try to soften and be heavy through the hip bones and the sits bones, the bony landmarks on your bottom. Slowly begin to peel your chest back up. Come into an easy seated pose. So whatever leg feels naturally first to pull in, do that. And then the other leg in front. Sit up nice and tall. Relax the shoulders. Tuck your chin to your chest. Feel that nice stretch to the back of the neck. And start to take some pendulum swings. So right ear sweeps over the right shoulder. And then left ear sweeps over the left shoulder. Take it at your own pace. There's no need to rush. If you'd prefer to pause, you can pause. If this continuous movement feels really good, then keep a nice steady flow. The next time your head's to the right, hold there. Breathe into the left side of the neck. A lot of times we hold this tension in the shoulders. And depending on where you are in your pregnancy journey, we can even concave through the heart, let the shoulders drop a little bit. So this is a nice stretch through that neck, through the shoulders, keep them drawn back, tall through the spine. And let's switch sides, drop the chin through center and take it over to the left. Stretching out through right side of the neck. Let's bring the chin back to center. Take the gaze forward. Plant your feet on your mat, knees bent. Hands on the ground for support if you'd like, and lower yourself down onto your backs. From your backs, we'll rock onto the left side. Bend the knees. Rock onto the left. Bring that bottom left arm under the head as a pillow. Some ways to include props here would be a blanket or bolster between the knees or a blanket between your head and your arm. Just making this final pose as comfortable as possible for your body. Close the eyes down. Release control of breath. Release control of body. And tune into baby. Does baby feel very active right now? Quiet, calm. And then tune in how you feel. Where's your energy level? Do you feel a little bit more free, a little less stressed? I'll be here for just a bit longer. Begin to awaken the body. Press down through this top right hand. Gently lift yourself up to seated. Come into a comfortable seat with the eyes closed, the palms together. Rub the hands to create some heat. Place the right hand on the belly, left hand on the heart. Breathe into your heart. Breathe into baby's heart. Breathing in to that love, gratitude, compassion you have for yourself. And allowing that energy of love, gratitude, and compassion to move into baby. And to swirl around baby. I want to thank you all, and until next time. Thank you everyone for joining me in today's practice. Thank you, Jaime, for the request. I hope it was exactly what you needed. I do have a few more classes coming in this kind of prenatal series during your pregnancy, and for anyone else that is interested and that is joining on. So please, my friends, like, subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, requests, put them down in the boxes below, and I'll see you all next time.